Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
Hello crafty friends, it's Caroline, and I am so excited to be welcoming you to my first ever design team project for a Country Craft Creations virtual retreat. And I'm so excited about this because I can trace being bitten by the scrapbooking bug all the way back to my first Country Craft Creations virtual retreat that I attended. That was the Bee Retreat. It was the first time I really was immersed into this community that Tamara has created and really found the fellowship and the friendship and the resources and all of the amazingness that is Country Craft Creations and the community that Tamara has built. So being with you not just as an attendee, but as a designer and offering a tutorial feels like I've kind of come full circle. This is a huge honor and I'm just so excited to be a part of this in this way. So the first thing I want to do is I want to run through all of the contents of your kit that you're going to receive for this project. I'm going to then do a walkthrough of the project itself, the finished project, and then we'll launch right into the tutorial. So let's get started on looking at all of our goodies. One of the things that you'll notice might be a little different is we're not going to build an album base or a folio base for this project. We're going to use this pre-made snap album that is from Simple Stories. And I'm so excited about this. I think that they're really fun and versatile. There's a lot that we can do with that. The collection that we're going to be using is the Simple Stories My Story collection. It's absolutely darling. We'll go through those contents as well. But I think we should begin by familiarizing ourselves with the snapbook from Simple Stories. It is a 6x8 binder with a 2-inch spine. There are 2 D-rings included in here in the spine, and that is what's going to hold all of our goodies that we're going to put in here. It has a linen wrap spine, and this one happens to be in the coral color. There's also a place here for you to insert a label, if you know, whatever you like here on that spine. But there's plenty of room to add our pattern paper and other decorations on the craft colored portion of the binder. Now, when you open it up, it's going to be a little stiff. Don't let this concern you. It's, you know, that's just the nature of it. Once it starts moving, opening and closing, it's going to loosen up. So yours is probably going to be a little stiff when you first open it. Just, you know, gently give it a little nudge, right? Like I said, we've got a D-ring binder here with 2 different openings, and it comes with all of these inserts. Let's go through those first. We have 4 pieces of double-sided pattern paper that already have the holes punched for our binder. We have 1 piece of dot grid paper, again, double-sided. We have 1 piece of graph paper, 1 piece of ruled or lined paper, and another piece of lined paper that has these numbers down the side. This would be great to use as an index for the contents, and so I thought that was kind of an interesting little addition, right? Then we have 3 of these really nice sturdy dividers. They're made out of chipboard. They've got the holes pre-punched, and they have these really fun little decorative scallops at the top here. Mine's a little bit dented, but it's not going to be a big deal, and we're definitely going to have a lot of fun playing with these. And last but certainly not least, you have 10 sheets of the snap inserts. Now, these were originally designed, you know, to place photos in, but you are not limited to just putting photos in here. You can easily fill them up with journaling cards, with little note cards maybe that you receive, maybe some invitations to parties, whatever little things you want to keep in scrapbook. These are great for that. There's all sorts of different sizes for them, and they're really simple to just slip some contents inside of there and keep them nice and safe. The other thing that I have seen these used for, and I thought was just ingenious, was to use one of these snapbooks as an ephemera catalog. And so folks have been putting in their little bits and pieces of ephemera, any bits of embellishments that they have. All those things can be stored in these snap pages as well, and it makes for a super easy way to locate them and use them in your projects. And so that is the contents that come with your snap binder. Now let's move on to the rest of the contents in your kit. Now you're going to have this sweet little pouch here that contains some gingham grosgrain ribbon. This is a brown ribbon. It's so cute, as well as some twine. You will also have the packet of bits and pieces from the collection, the enamel dots, chipboard stickers, foam stickers, and oh my goodness, these are just the cutest stickers ever, aren't they? You're going to have 12 sheets of the 6x8 pattern paper. So essentially you're getting one of each of the pieces of pattern paper that come in the collection. And oh my goodness, you guys, they're just absolutely darling. And yeah, I love this so much. Super cute. You also have 3 sheets of white 8.5 by 11 cardstock, 2 sheets of the 3x4 cut apart pages here, and here's the back side. Isn't that darling? 1 sheet of the tags and bookmark elements. Absolutely adorable. I love her little nose in the book over here. Write your own story. Next chapter. So many great sentiments. And then on the back side, tons of room for journaling. And then I'm really excited about these. I've seen the Simple Stories color vibe papers available on Tamara's website over at countrycraftcreations.com, but I've never really felt them in person before. And of course, you know, the quality is fabulous, but I love the variety here. So now this is the mustard color, and it has this darker mustard color background with these sort of peachy mustard polka dots. I can't really explain it, but it works. It's super cute. And so you've got 2 sides on them as well. If you want just the solid color, that's available. And then the polka dots are on the other side in that kind of tone on tone quality. Super cute. 2 of the mustard, 2 of the black, and 1 each of the blush and the mint. And again, there's polka dots on one side and the solid color on the other side. So now that we've gone through all the contents of the kit, let's do a quick walkthrough of the finished album. All right, you guys, here is the project that we're going to be working on today. I'm going to take you through a quick walkthrough and then we're going to begin the tutorial. Now, I am so happy with the way this turned out. I just think it's absolutely adorable. It's nice and chunky, but there's still plenty of room to add other things to it. I went ahead and pulled off that little metal piece here that was for the label. I just wanted to be able to put some fun stuff on my spine, and in order to do that, I had to pull that piece off. So I did that. We've got this full-size print here on the cover. I added some of these foam stickers and some of the enamel dots here. I used the ribbon to accent around the spine here, and I love this page with all of the books on the bookshelf. I think it's adorable. When you open it up on the inside, we have a nice deep pocket here, a huge little angle pocket. I've got a couple bookmarks that we made. They are just darling, aren't they? Some more puffy stickers, some other little bits of ephemera. I like that I was able to sort of decorate on the inside of the spine. And now we're going to get into the kind of meat and potatoes of this album. On each one of these little divider pages, or title pages, or I don't know what you want to call them, but on each one of these pages, there's 4 of them. I have created a place where there's a nice pocket in here, a nice deep pocket that you can put all sorts of things in, and it goes all the way down. And then what closes the pocket and keeps it closed is we've got another little tuck pocket up here and a couple of these bookmarks that are just kind of stuck in there to hold its place. Each one of these bookmarks has a little frayed edged tassel on the top. I think they look really sweet, and I added a little sticker on here. The back side of each one of these pages, these divider pages, I have included a place to put these little angled tuck spot pockets. So we've got 2 triangles here that meet up, lots of room to tuck all sorts of papers and things in there. I love the way it turned out. And then in each section, I've got it divided where you have a piece of paper. On this one, there's a full sheet that you can place something in. And I do have other things I could move in there, but I'm leaving that one blank for now. Then I decorated all of the chipboard dividers. There's 3 of them in here. I love this with the pattern paper on it. I'm going to show you guys how I did this pattern paper piecing on there. Super cute. This is just ready to stick some pictures on, right? It just looks adorable. We come to another one of these sort of title pages, again with a couple of bookmarks or tags in here that are tucked into our little tuck spot pocket. that open up to give us access to this really deep pocket on the front of each one of these pages. Backside, once again, we've got these really deep angled pockets here. Some more ephemera around here just to decorate it. Love it. Piece of paper, another full-size sheet here that I took all of the leftovers from the stickers, from the foam stickers, and placed in here so that we can use them when we need them when we're adding our photos. I've got all of the extras of the ephemera bits and pieces tucked up here in this pocket too. Again, so we can use them as we're adding photos or pages into our little album here. All of my extra enamel dots have a little home in here too. And then I've got all of these 3x4 cut aparts that you can either use to journal on or you can use as a matting, to go behind a photo. This brings us to our second chipboard divider. Once again, paper pieced, cut this out, covered it with some pattern paper, got the My Story sticker here. It's just ready to add some photos, you guys. It's so cute. And then on this other title page, again, a couple more tags or bookmarks. Got a little tuck spot here, says Choose Joy. Opens up to this nice big pocket, lots of room in here that you can tuck all your goodies. Backside, once again, we've got this doubled angle pocket here, lots of room to put all sorts of things in here. Another piece of paper, some more of our photo pages or whatever you want to store in there. We've got these cut aparts that are ready for matting or journaling. All of my extra chipboard stickers I placed on some pieces of plastic, and these plastic I just cut down from the packaging that the chipboard stickers came in. I just cut them down enough so they could slip in here. Place the stickers on the plastic. They'll peel off just fine. They're repositionable on here, and that way you can wait and use them when you need them as you're putting your photos all throughout here. Brings us to the third chipboard divider here. Again, did some paper piecing on both sides. We've got Today back here, just ready for photos. And our fourth and final little title page here in our divided sections with our big pocket, our tuck spot here that's holding all of our pretties. And then the back side, once again, with these double kind of triangle angle pockets here. We have another full-size sheet here that you can place things in. I just put these I had two pieces of the paper that was remaining, and I just put them in here. And that way I can either use them to cut apart and maybe make something with, or I can use them as matting pieces when I'm putting all my stuff in my little binder here. Some more cut aparts, plenty of room for more photos, lots of space in this one. On the back, I've got Happy Day. We've got another bookmark that says Next Chapter. It's just so stinking cute. Giant, deep, angled pocket going all the way down here. And then our just little Happy Day with our little birdie. Isn't this so fun? All right, I can't wait. Let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. There's this little branding belly band on here. We're going to take this off, and I want you to go ahead and open up your binder, and let's just look at all of the contents that you have in here. You have 10 of these sheets, of these sort of snap sheets that have the pockets in them. There are 4 of them that are full page ones, meaning that it's just one undivided large pocket that goes all the way in. You have 3 of them that are comprised of 2 of these 3x4 sections and one that's a 4x6 section. So we've got the little pocket here that's the 4x6, and the 2 of them here that are 3 inches wide by 4 inches deep, and those are just there like that. So there's 3 of these, and there's 3 that are the 4x6 openings here, so just like that. And the actual openings of the pockets are like 1/8 of an inch larger than the measurements of what goes in them. So like the 4x6 photo opening here is like 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. So you have plenty of room to slip in what you need to put in there. But there are 3 of these, 3 of these, and 4 of these. So I'm going to start dividing them up into groupings. So I'm going to divide these up into 3s, and I will end up with 1 extra full sheet of my pocket sheet here. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side. And I've got each of these set up in groupings where I've got one that is the 3x4. You've got 2 of the 3x4s and 1 of the 4x6. One that is 2 of the 4x6. And then you have one of the large ones that's like 6 1/8 by 8 3/8 or something like that. So we're going to divide these into each little groupings like that. So I've got 1, 2, and 3 of those groupings. And then I've got my 1 extra large sheet over here. And then we've got 4 sheets that are these cardstock. So I'm going to take one of the cardstocks and put it with the single large sheet. And I'm going to take the other 3 and I'm going to put put them with each of these groupings of 3 of these snap sheets here, just like that. And then we have these 4 pages here. One of them is the dot grid, one of them is the ruled lines, one of them is the graph paper, and one of them is the ruled lines with the numbers over here, sort of like an index. And I've decided that I want to put the index number one with the grouping that only has the single large, pocket sheet. And then these other ones, it doesn't matter. They're just going to go here with some of these other groupings. I'm just putting the paper right behind the cover page and in front of the snap sheets, okay? And then we have these 3 dividers. So we're going to sort of assemble our book, and then we're going to work from within it to do all of our decorating and all of our fun stuff that's going to go in, right? So the first thing I want to do at the very front of my book is I want to put one of these double-sided printed sort of dividers here, okay? And then I want to place my sheet that is sort of like my index, and then I'm going to insert my sheet that has the large pocket and make sure that the opening for the pocket is up at the top. Next thing we want to do is insert one of our chipboard dividers, and then I'm going to get my little stack over here that I've got that has my printed paper divider, my dot grid, and my 3 snap inserts all in behind that. Grab your next chipboard divider and put that in place. And then once again, I'm going to place my pattern paper divider here. This time it's my graph paper insert and my 3 snap pages all behind that one. Final chipboard divider is going to go into place. Our pattern paper cover page, our ruled or lined sheet, and our 3 snap inserts are all going to go in just like that. And now I've sort of got it organized in a way that I like, got it sort of evenly distributed in there, and I'm happy with that setup. So that's kind of the order of we're going to put all our pages into, but you guys can change them and make them however you want. I mean, seriously, you can put all the snap pages together if you want. You can completely omit the dividers if you want. Do it the way you want, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how I put it together, and that was this way. The next thing I want to do is I actually want to remove this. This is just a little opening that you could tuck a label into that has the name of what's in here as far as the contents. And if you want to keep that there, keep that there. But for me, I want to decorate this. And so I want to pop it off. I'm just going to sort of slip underneath it here with my pokey tool and try to sort of loosen it up a little bit. So I've just got my needle nose pliers here, and I'm just trying to pull this up enough that I can get my pliers underneath it. I was able to get that first one off. I'm going to kind of try to pull on this next one. There we go. We got it out. It kind of pulled through, sort of made a hole in it. That's okay. We're going to cover it up anyway. It's not going to matter. And if you're really concerned about it, just go over it with your bone folder and just sort of smooth that back out. It's going to be just fine. Okay, there we go. So now that we've pulled that off, let's go ahead and start working on our outside cover. And I just love this sheet here that says take your time, and we're going to make that our cover sheet. So go ahead and take that one off of your paper pad. And if you end up with some of these little bits of adhesive stuck to the top, don't worry about that. We're going to trim this down anyway. So go ahead and get your paper trimmer. And you're just going to cut that little tiny little bit off the top there so that it gets rid of that. And this will fit right here on our cover, but I want to trim it down some. This page here is 6 inches by 8 inches. This section here that's open is 6 1/4 by 8 3/4, just kind of roughly like that. So I want to trim this down so I've got kind of a similar, I guess, reveal around here. So I want to take 1/2 inch off of the width on this, and I'm going to do that by taking 1/4 inch off either side. So I'm going to come over to the 5 3/4 mark and make a cut, and then I'm going to flip my page over and come to the 5 1/2 inch mark and make another cut, and that's going to essentially cut 1/4 inch off of each of these sides, and it's going to allow me to have more of an even reveal all the way around and sort of center it in that opening there. The next thing we want to do is we want to create some matting on here. So I am going to cut the black paper to a size that's going to fit right inside of this sort of craft section here. And again, when I measure this on mine, it's just a little over 6 1/4 by just a little over, or just almost 8 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my black matting, or my black cardstock here, the one that is this color vibe in the black color. I'm going to cut that to just under 6 1/4 by just under 8 3/4. And then I'm going to take the pink cardstock and I'm going to cut it to 6 inches by 8.5 inches. And then I want to trim out a center section of this black paper so that I can use it as a matting behind this sheet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way around and I'm going to mark a line that's 1/4 inch in around all 4 sides before taking a finger blade or an X-Acto knife and just cutting right along those lines, so that I've essentially got a frame here that is 1/4 inch wide all the way around. And if you have any little corners that didn't quite cut out all the way, just take your scissors, slip it in there, and you can just sort of gently snip that. I prefer to go that route rather than overcutting it and accidentally cutting into the frame area. So I always, kind of come back after the fact and sort of clean them up. There we go. And I want to do the plain black on the outer part, and then we're gonna lay this pink on the polka dot side facing up. And then this black here is gonna get trimmed down even more to create a nice thin matting for this piece here. So I wanna take this to my trimmer and I just wanna trim it up some. I wanna trim it up to about 5 5/8 inch wide, just taking a little bit off of that side, this side, and now I'm going to come over here to the 5 5/8. 5 5/8 inch wide by about 8 1/8 inch tall, and that is going to give us just the perfect little reveal all around here, so that I've got this sort of shadow effect here as a matting on the front cover, and I really like the way that looks. It's simple, yes, but it's a very economical use of paper, and I think it came together pretty nice. So let's go ahead and start gluing them down. Now, if you want to, you can ink these edges. I'm not going to on this one. I don't know that it necessarily needs it, but if you have some ink in your stash and you want to use that, go ahead and ink those edges. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a very thin bead of glue all the way around the edge of this pink cardstock. And then we're just going to center it here onto this frame of this black cardstock that we just sort of cut out here. Just like that. And that's going to give a little bit more structure to that black paper now, because it's kind of flimsy. It only has this little 1/4 inch frame all the way around. And so it's really going to help it have some structure once you layer up the other papers on top of it. Just clean up any glue that might be seeping out, and you are good to go. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one here. We're just going to layer it up so that it, fits on here just nicely. We've got a nice reveal all the way around. So I'm just going to come and put glue all over the back side of this paper. Put it into place here. We've got nice burnishing across the whole thing. Clean up any glue that may have seeped out around the sides. And now we just need to layer these two up on top of each other, and we have our front cover taken care of. So I'm going to place some glue all over the back side of this one, and then we're just going to stick it down. And there we go. I think it looks great. So now we want to put it on our album cover, and it's going to just fit real nicely right here. I think it's going to look super cute. I've already dry fit it. I know it's going to fit. It's going to be great. But I want to do something that's going to kind of give me a transition there. So go ahead and retrieve your little packet of goodies here. And we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 11 inches long from that brown gingham ribbon. And we're going to place that over this sort of transition seam here. And then this is going to go on top of it. And you can use some double-sided tape. You can use some art glitter glue. I'm going to use both. I'm going to come along with a little strip of double-sided tape along both sides of my ribbon, right up next to that selvage edge. And I think this is, this is 1/4 inch tape. I think it's 1/4 inch tape. I don't know. Just use what you've got in your stash. But I'm just going to run this right along that selvage edge of the gingham ribbon. Just like that. Make sure you burnish it down really well. In fact, I think I'm going to run another strip right down the center. Burnish it down really well, and then sort of start by peeling off the backing on your tape here, okay? And like I said, if you want, you can use glue. I'm just going with the tape because, I don't know, it just seems easy. And I want to line it up on here so that it's even distance from this sort of edge right here. So I think the easiest thing to do is I'm just going to take my Tim Holtz ruler and I'm going to run it right along the edge of the binder. And it looks like I'm about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge of this fabric that's like the covering here. And I'm going to just draw a little line, come right down there so I've got a straight line to follow. And I'm going to take my ribbon and lay it down so that I've come up to that line. I'm going to wrap it around to the back side. And then once I've held it in place where I want it to be, I can just peel off these other strips and expose that adhesive there on them and press them down just like that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There we go. And then I'm going to wrap this around to the back and we'll cover all this up from the inside. Now it looks like I got this a little crooked. Let's take another go at it here. There we go. So we've got those wrapped around here like that. Here's our front cover. And then this is the decorative element that's going to go on top of our front cover, on top of all of that. And I just think it looks really cute. It gives a lot more interest here to the page. The ribbon sort of covers up that weird transition there. And I like it. So I'm going to place some glue on the back here and go ahead and stick it down. And you can just sort of open it up and really burnish it well. Just make sure that those edges are really stuck down. You might want to give it just a little extra pushing here around that ribbon, just making sure that it's sticking really well. And there we go. I love that. I think it's a really great cover. So now we're going to do basically the same thing for the back side here. I've got my other 11-inch piece of ribbon. I want to go ahead and put my tape on the backing of that. And then I'm going to make a line about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge of that of this fabric here that's coming over this sort of canvas wrapping on there. And that's going to give me the line that I want to follow. I've exposed just a little bit of the tape here. And then we're just going to lay it out where I want it to be. And then just go ahead and release the backing on the tape and press it down as you go along here. And we'll go ahead and wrap this one around to the inside as well. Just like that. Okay. And it might be a little crooked. Mine's a little crooked, but that's okay. It's going to be really cute. I promise. And then from your other piece of black cardstock, you're going to do the same thing and cut it to just under 6 1/4 by just under 8 3/4. And that is the piece that's going to sit right over here. And it looks like I cut it just a little bit long. I'm going to trim just a tiny bit off of the height here. Just a little sliver. There we go. That's going to work out great. And then we've got our other pink piece here that's 6 inches by 8 1/2, and that's going to slip right over the top of that. And it's going to be just the same matting as what we had on the front. Okay. And so I also need to cut this out as if it were a frame, the same way we did the other one. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch in from each side before coming over with an X-Acto knife or a finger blade or scissors if you don't mind using scissors. You just have to be really careful with them because we really are trying to get this center point cut out and really use all of that cardstock. I'm just coming around each edge, creating my frame cut, and then going back in and just sort of cleaning up those corners then with my scissors so that I can get an exact cut right out of the center here. And once we've freed that up, let's go ahead and layer our pink cardstock on top of the black. And let's see, we just had the solid black, not the polka dots showing, I think. Go like that. Just dry fitting it to make sure that it's gonna look good. I think it is. I feel like I need to trim just a little bit more off of this pink cardstock on the height. So I'm just gonna give it another little sliver cut before placing glue all along the edge of this pink cardstock. And then we're just gonna center it on this frame piece. And I think it looks really great We want to just kind of come along here and clean up any glue that may have seeped out. And now for this piece here, I want to trim it down just a little bit too. I want to trim this one down to 5 3/8 by 8 1/8, which is almost what it is. I'm sorry, or 5 5/8 by 8 1/8. That's almost what it is. I'm just going to basically just trim some little slivers off of here, and that's optional. If you don't want to trim it down anymore, you really don't have to. It's a pretty straight cut already, so it's not, you know, actually necessary. It's just, it's me being a little bit particular and just wanting to finesse that that fit, give it a custom fit. And so now I've got a piece that's going to fit really nicely inside of this matting. I've decided that I want to use this page here of the bookshelf for the back cover of my album. So once again, I'm just trimming that little sliver off at the top there so that I can get all of the adhesive off of it. And I do need to trim this down to 5 1/2 inches wide, just like I did with the other one. So I'm going to come over to 5 3/4 and make a cut. And then I'm going to flip it over just like this, right to left. And I'm going to come over to 5 1/2 and make another cut. And that's going to give me a centered image that is the right size for my matting, just like that. Doesn't that look great? So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down also. And you guys can use whichever pattern papers you want from the collection. It doesn't have to be the exact ones that I'm using. I'm just giving you some measurements and some options on maybe a jumping point where to go. If you want to make it just like mine, that you know, the instructions are here to do that. But if you feel a little inspired, or you're like me and you tend to go a little rogue, I welcome that. So don't feel like you'll hurt my feelings any if you don't make it just the way I do. I'll probably get some great ideas from whatever it is that you guys do. Now let's go ahead and clean up some of this glue that has seeped out. And now we'll just glue this whole section down onto our base matting page here. Just eyeballing it, you know, centered. I'm really just looking for kind of an even reveal all around. I like it. I think it looks good. Burnish it really well and clean up any glue that you might have. And now that we have our back matting piece completed, let's just go ahead and dry fit it on here. Make sure again it still fits. It does. I think it looks great. Let's put our glue on it and stick it down. And just make sure you burnish it really well along where that ribbon is. You have to just hold it down long enough for that to catch. And if you're concerned with the glue, because it takes a little longer for the glue to catch on those, you know, on the ribbon like that. If you're concerned, you can also use your double-sided tape or score sheets or what have you. I'm just sort of using the warmth from my hand and I'm just applying even pressure across here. I'm not pushing really hard. I'm just kind of rubbing it back and forth until that can sort of take hold. And you can sort of check by taking your fingernail along there, and if it pulls away, you just need to keep pressing. If need be, you can come in and just sort of slip a little bit more glue underneath there too. Eventually it will take hold. You just have to give it a little bit of time with our clear glue. If you don't want to kind of go that route, just use a little piece of double-sided tape along the edge of this matting piece and it'll stick right down. All right, I think this looks super cute. I just love this bookshelf scene. I feel like we really elevated this cover already, but I want to do something fun on the spine, and that's why I pulled off all that hardware. So let's get to that. So for the outside and inside of our spine, I have cut 2 pieces from the black cardstock that are 1 1/2 inches wide by just under 8 3/4 of an inch tall. And I have cut 2 pieces of the pink cardstock that are 1 and almost 3/8 of an inch wide by just under 8 1/2 inches tall. And we're going to layer them up in the exact same way that we did for the front and back covers. And they're going to slip over the inside of the spine and the outside of the spine. And now that we've got both of those ready and they're just matted and ready to be attached, I kind of want to bring some ribbon into this too. So I've cut 2 lengths of my gingham ribbon here at 2 inches long each. And I'm going to just take some tape and put on the back side just like I did before. And then once you've exposed the tape, I'm just laying a strip across. Oh my goodness, I'm like 1/4 of an inch down from the top, and I'm just laying a strip across there. I'm going to wrap it around to the back side of this matting piece, just like that, just to give me a little bit of that ribbon on there. I feel like that's going to, you know, I don't know, it gives it some continuity maybe, I'm not sure. And since I was having kind of some issues with it, the ribbon, you know, sticking before the glue dried, I'm just going to run some double-sided tape right along the edge here on the back side, sort of covering up those ribbon tails, and then also just I feel like since I'm going to be gluing this down onto the canvas wrapping that is on the album, I just want something that's going to stick it in place until the glue dries, just to hold it down, you know, just to hold it down. I don't know. Probably could have done this in less strips, but whatever. Out of my score sheets, or I probably would have put a whole sheet of the score tape on the back here. I think that would have held it even better, but this is just fine. And like I said, you can still use your liquid glue if that's what you prefer. You just have to hold it down a little bit longer until it can set on that fabric. So now I'm going to trim my little bits of adhesive off here that are hanging over the ends. Go ahead and expose your adhesive, and then I'm going to go ahead and come on over it again, at least around the edges with some of this art glitter glue. And then this is just going to slip right on the top of your spine here. I'm just sort of eyeballing a center, get it right where I want it to be. That looks good. Go ahead and burnish it down really well. I'm really pressing, especially where I've got that ribbon that wraps around, because it creates some bulk there. I just want it to grab hold. I want that glue to be able to really work itself into the fibers and cure in that way, and then I'll have a nice strong hold. There we go. I think that looks really cute. And now let's go to the inside and do the same thing. And we're just going to lay it down here right in the center of this of our spine here on the inside. Oops. Put it down a little lower than I intended, but it is not coming up, so I'm going to leave it there. I meant to have it scooted up a little bit more, but that's okay. It's not overhanging on the end, and I think it's going to be just fine. So I'm actually happy that it's grabbed on so well. We've got the outside of our spine covered as well. I think it looks super cute. I do want to do some decorating on this spine as well, but I want to wait until we've sort of been working on our book a little bit. We'll come back and we'll do some more fancy decorations on the front, but so far so good. I'm really happy with the way it looks. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the front and back inside covers. That is these sections here on our album where we have this ribbon kind of hanging over. We haven't covered that up yet. And we have these big areas here. And I've decided that what I want to do is I want to put some large angled pockets on the front and back inside cover. It's just going to give us a nice place to store some things. Couple things to point out. The distance of the front cover that we have to actually work with is much larger than the distance of the back cover that we have to work with. And that's because of this attachment for our D-rings here. It just has to be that way, right? So when we're covering this up here, I just want to make sure that we're not, cutting them both the exact same size. We need a piece here to cover up all of this that is 6 3/4 of an inch wide by 8 3/4 of an inch tall. And we need a piece for our front cover that is 8 3/4 of an inch tall by 8 inches wide. From the mustard colored cardstock that you have in your kit, I have cut one piece here that is just under 8 3/4 of an inch tall by just under 7 3/4 of an inch wide. And I have another one here that is just under 6 3/4 of an inch wide by just under 8 3/4 of an inch tall. And that's what's going to go on our front and back inside covers. And they're just going to cover everything up and give us a nice clean finish. I'm really happy with the way they look. But before I glue them down, I want to make some angled pockets here. And I actually want to insert our kind of backing paper inside of the pocket so we have a really nice finish on what can go in and out of those pockets. In your kit, you have 3 of these sheets of the 8.5 by 11 inch white cardstock. Take one of those sheets and we're going to cut it in half on the 11 inch side at 5.5 inches. Now we have 2 sheets that are 5.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. We're going to place them in our scoreboard, and on one of them, we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side. We're going to score at 5 inches, and then we're going to turn it so that that score mark is at the top, and we're going to score it at 8 inches. That's going to be for the back inside cover. On the other one, we're going to put it in on the 5.5 inch side, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch, and then we're going to turn that so that score mark is at the top, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch again. And this is going to be for the front inside cover. So we basically have like mirror images, bookends of our score marks here. And let's go ahead and fold and burnish our score marks. And then you're going to take your paper here, and where this 2 score marks intersect on each one of the pages, you'll have this little square there. So you're going to fold one side over, take your scissors right in that intersection where those 2 score marks are and give it a little clip. And then fold the other side over, take your scissors back to that same place you were just in and give it another little clip. And that's going to give us a nice little miter on the back side where those two folds meet. Do the same thing on the other one. Scissors right in the intersection of those 2 score marks, give it a clip, fold the other side back, go back to the same place and clip it again. And now, because we're doing an angled pocket, we need to make a couple little marks on here. So I've got the folded edge on each of them. There's a folded edge on each side. You are going to measure over 1 inch from the folded edge at the top, coming into the right for the one on the front inside cover. And you're going to measure up 1 inch from the bottom on the right hand side, come up 1 inch from that folded edge, just like that. So here's my folds here on the left and the lower side for the front inside cover. And I've got to mark 1 inch up and a mark 1 inch over, just like that. For the back inside cover, we've got the fold at the bottom and the fold at the right. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time we're going to mark over 1 inch from the fold at the top going towards the left and 1 inch from the fold at the bottom left coming up there from the bottom. You're simply going to line those marks up in your trimmer and cut from tick mark to tick mark. I'm just going to do it like this just to show you. I've got my mark here and my mark there, and your cut is just going to go straight along there. And you're going to create an angle then for your pocket. And you can do it on your paper trimmer too. I'm just doing it here because, well, I've got a ruler and a finger blade handy. So, but if you're doing it on your paper trimmer, you just want to line up those marks on the edge of your, of your cut edge where your blade is going to cut. Just go ahead and cut that back down. And now we have the pockets for our inside front and inside back covers. I'm just going to erase my little tick marks here, any little pencil marks I have remaining, and that's where we are. If we retrieve the piece, the matting piece that we cut for our front inside cover, that's going to slip right inside of this pocket, just like that. We're going to push it in so that it butts up against these 2 folded edges, okay? We want it to be really tight in there. And once we have it right where we want it to be, fold your little flaps back, put some glue on the back side of those little flaps from our pockets. And then you're just gonna fold those around to the back side of this matting piece. Burnish it really well. And now we have a complete unit here where when you put something in this pocket, there's nothing that it can snag on. You go into a nice deep pocket like that. And then this piece is going to get glued down just to the inside of your front inside cover, just like this, as a whole, like singular unit. So go ahead and put glue all over the back side, including these little flaps here from the pocket that folded around to the back. And then we're just going to line it up. I'm basically lining up the pocket, the lower left-hand corner of this pocket. I'm lining up with the very edge of my chipboard cover here and letting the rest of it just sort of fall into place where it needs to be. Go ahead and burnish it down really well. Clean up any glue that might come seeping out. Just make sure you're really burnishing it really well, especially along this fabric edge. And I'm kind of thinking I should have put a little bit of double-sided tape on there, but it's okay. It's still sticking down. I just have to sort of stay on top of it and really give it pressure until it finally sets. There we go. Now we've got that in place. Now let's move on to the back inside cover. And so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to slip it inside of that pocket. We want to really make sure that we're flush all along this edge. I'm really pressing it until I get to the very edge of that fold. Go ahead and open up my sides. Place some glue all over the inside portion of this flap that's going to fold around to the back of my paper. That pressed into place. Same thing on the bottom here. Press that into place. Go ahead and burnish it really well. Looking good. And then let's dry fit it just to make sure. And I think that's looking really good here. Make sure I've got everything covered. Yep, that looks pretty great. This time I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of double-sided tape just along that edge that's going to go close to the spine where there is that fabric covering, just to make sure it sticks So just to be safe, I'm just gonna come around all 4 sides here with some double-sided tape. That'll at least hold my edges down until they can sort of set. And then once I go ahead and peel off the backing on my adhesive, go ahead and put glue all over the back side here. And again, we're lining it up so this pocket is in the lower right-hand corner here. I want to make sure that we've got our height is correct. Replacement on here is all really good. Looking good, looking good. Burnish it down really well. There we go. And now we have our inside back and our inside front covers all covered with our paper. And I think it looks really great. Let's do some matting paper on the front of these pockets next. Okay, so now we need to cut a matting piece on here. And so I've got one of my sheets of my 6x8 cardstock, and I'm just laying it on here so that I've got about 1/8 of an inch reveal at the bottom and the side. And I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to make a tick mark here that's about 1/8 of an inch down from the top of this paper. And I'm going to make a tick mark over here that's just to this side of my of the bottom of my pocket, and that's about 4 7/8 over from the left-hand side. So I've cut 1/8 of an inch off the top of my cardstock, and now I need to trim it up to 4 7/8 of an inch wide. And that's going to give me a piece that's going to fit right inside of the parameters of my pocket here. And I'm going to make a tick mark 7/8 of an inch to the right from this upper left-hand corner. And I'm going to make a tick mark 7/8 of an inch up from the lower right in this lower right hand. Go ahead and connect your tick marks and cut your paper, and it will just fit perfectly on here as a really nice little matting there for our pocket. So I'm going to erase a few of these little pencil marks that I've got and go ahead and glue it down. And now we've got our matting piece here on our front inside cover pocket. And now let's go ahead and cut a piece for the matting for our back inside cover pocket in the same way. All right, I messed up on this one. I accidentally cut my angle wrong. So I pieced together some of my scraps from this butterfly paper and just made it so I had a longer length. And I'm gonna lay this over the top to sort of cover up my mistake there. So I'm just gonna put glue all over the back side here. There, that's gonna work. That'll be great. I messed up, but it'll be okay. You guys will do a better job, I'm sure. And if you don't, you can always piece together some paper. This is supposed to be fun, right? Here we go. Glue all over the back side of this one. And now we'll just stick it onto our pocket here so that we have a nice little matting for our pocket. I don't love the way that I can see that little seam there, but it's okay. I may come over with something else, maybe a cut apart, maybe a sticker or two. We will fix that. That will be fine. So you can either cut your matting correctly the first time, or you could do like I did and mess up and just sort of piece together something. Either way, I think it's gonna look great, and I'm very happy with the way it's turning out. And so now let's move on to the body of our little album here. You could use this as a recipe book, and you could take clippings of different recipes from magazines or printouts from different web pages. You could handwrite them and put them in all of these little photo, the little snap page inserts like that. We can fill them all up with that. I'm gonna probably use this as a craft planner or just a little project planner that I've got. I don't know why, but for some reason, these numbered lines here just make me really happy. I like the idea of there being some sort of an index for the projects as I kind of put them in throughout the book. I don't know if I'm going to use it that way. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? It would be great for just putting photos in. It would be great to put different little things that you're working on, maybe around the house, maybe a project planner for home improvements, things like that. Maybe you need a place to keep different swatches of your paint colors. They could slip in these little pockets here, and you could write on them, which room they were in and when you did the painting. I don't know. I'm just coming up with ideas here, but I think that it's really fun. Now I have 2 sheets left of my 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I have 4 of these pages that are sort of acting almost like a page divider, even though we have the page dividers, or maybe they're just a title page for each section. And what I would like to be able to do is I'd like to be able to place a pocket on each one of them. And since I have 2 sheets left, you started off with 3, we used one of them for our pockets for our front and back inside covers. For the two remaining pieces, I think we're going to try to come up with a pocket on them that's going to work for all 4 of these pages here that we've got. So the first thing I want to do is I want to cut them in half on the 11-inch side so that they are 8.5 by 5.5. So now I have 4 pieces here that are 8.5 by 5.5, and then I want to cut them down to 6 inches by 5.5. I'm going to cut 2.5 inches off the length of each one. And that's going to leave us with 4 pieces that are 5.5 by 2.5 and 4 pieces that are 5.5 by 6. On the pieces that are 5.5 by 2.5, you're going to trim them down to 5 inches wide by 2.5 inches. So go ahead and trim off that little 1/2 inch off of all of those. And you're going to score them on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And on the pieces that are 5.5 by 6, you're going to score them on the 5.5 inch side at 1/4 inch and 5.25 inches, and then you're going to turn it to the 6 inch side and you're going to score them at 1/2 inch, just like that. Okay, now fold and burnish all of your score marks, and we're going to trim these in the same way we did the other ones. So you're going to sort of fold one side back, you're going to take your scissors and go in that junction of the score marks and give it a little clip, just like that, and then we'll fold the other side back and give it a little clip. And for the pieces that are the 2.5 by 5, go ahead and fold and burnish the score marks there. And all we're going to do on these is we're just going to give it a slight miter there on that little 1/2 inch flap. And now that we've folded and burnished and trimmed all of our pieces here, we're going to set those aside. And you're going to take the remaining piece of 12 by 12 colored cardstock that you've got that you haven't cut into yet, and that's the mint one. And we're going to cut them down into 4 pieces that measure 6 inches by just under 5 inches wide. So I'm basically trimming them down to 6 inches tall by like 4 7/8 of an inch wide. And now you're going to want to round all of the corners that are opposite the fold on these smaller pieces here, on the ones that are 2.5 inches by 5 inches. Go ahead and round all of the corners that are opposite the folds. And I'm using the 7mm on my little We Are Memory Keepers corner puncher, but you use whatever size you want. And then on these little pieces here that are going to be for our pocket, I want to cut a notch out of this so that you just know it's a pocket and it's easy to get into. And I'm going to use my envelope punch board to cut that notch, but you can use, maybe like a circle punch. You could come in just part way and cut that, or you don't have to do a notch at all. It's just a finish that I like to do. I know that the finished size of this is 5 inches across here. So if I come to the 2.5 inch mark and make my punch, I know I'll be right in the center. So I've got a little notch right there. So I'm going to do that for all 4 of them. And then it's really simple. We're just going to place our cardstock right inside of these kind of fold lines here. I'm trying to kind of center it here between these folds. And once you get it sort of where you want it, I'm pressing it against the bottom here, and I've got an even reveal on the right and the left. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, and I'm just going to run a little thin bead of glue along these tab pieces, and we're going to wrap them around to the back of this mint colored cardstock. Go ahead and burnish them down really well. And then on the front portion here, we just need to attach our flap in the same way. So I'm lining it up with the sides here of the white paper, pressing it down so that that fold is coming over the top there. Once I've got it where I want it to be, I'm going to lay it back down, open up my flap here, and then put some glue along that part of the flap, fold it to the back, press it down, give it a nice little burnishing, and open it up to make sure you're not catching any glue in here like I just did. There we go. And then if you don't like I'm not really liking that I'm seeing this little bit of white paper here, so I'm going to trim up even with my mint cardstock and then just kind of come over here like that. There we go. And now we have a little pocket here that we can put some things in, or, store receipts or whatever it is that we want. But I just think it's kind of nice to have a little pocket. It's a nice deep pocket. Nothing's going to sort of get in the way in here, and we can put some things in there, and I like that a lot. And so then these, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other. So we've made all 4 of our little pockets. All right, now we've got our 4 envelopes complete, and I think these are going to be great because we're going to be able to decorate them and glue them onto our cover pages here in our album. And then I'm just going to go through my scraps here from my cardstock cutoffs and come up with some pieces that I might want to use to cover the fronts of these with. So I'm thinking like maybe these would be for the flap portion. We'll get some other cardstock to kind of go over the front of this one. Keep in mind the background for each of these pages, and these are the ones we're going to be putting them on. Each of these pages, the background is that kind of peachy pink or that corally pink. So I don't want to use my scraps of this kind of peachy paper. Instead, I'm going to go for some of these other colors here. Now, either with the same greens or the black or the mustard, and I'm just going to cut them into pieces that are going to fit on here. I'm going to need 4 pieces that are 1 3/4 by 4 3/4 to cover my flaps, and I'm going to need 4 pieces that are 4 3/4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to cover my bases here of all of my envelopes. So just whatever colors you want to cut them out of, but I need 4 that are 4 3/4 by 1 3/4 and 4 that are 4 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those from my scraps. So my pieces that are the 4 3/4 by 1 1/4 or 1 3/4, that's going to go over the top of our little envelope here. And the pieces that are the 4 3/4 by 5 1/4, that's going to go on the base here of our envelope. So that's what's going to come over here. On all of these that are the 4 3/4 by 5 1/4, we need to cut the same notches out of them to correspond with the notches that we have for our pockets here. And if I came over to 2 1/2, that would be my 5 inches, right? But I'm at 4 3/4. So I'm going to come actually over here to 2 3/8. And that's going to be the center point of my punch, so that when I line this up on here, I am perfectly centered here with my notch then, and it just looks really nice. So I'm going to go through and punch all of these. On the 4 3/4 inch side, I'm scooting it over to 2 3/8 of an inch and then making my punch. And now all I need to do is glue them up and stick them down. And you know, if you're using something other than like the envelope punch to do your notches, just make sure you're lining it up with the center and you'll be just fine. I like the envelope punch board because it does have those measurements on there, and I can just scooch my paper over to whatever that halfway point mark is measurement, and I kind of don't have to think about it. I like things I don't have to think about. And then on these pieces here, you've just got to make sure that you're using the same corner rounder that you used on the corners opposite the fold here for your flap. So we've just got those like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue it down. There we go. We've got one pocket done. Let's go ahead and put our paper on the rest of them. All right, now we've got all of our pockets done. I think they look really great, and we can go ahead and start placing them into the pages in our album. And like I said, I'm going to put them like on the fronts here. I like the idea of this being something that opens up. I'm debating, do I want it to scoot all the way down or do I want to center it? I think I just want to center it here. And it's something that can open up. You can have some things in here. And then of course we're going to decorate the fronts of these too some more. But I just like the way that this looks. So I'm going to go through and sort of alternate, since I've got 2 of them that are both have the mustard on them. I'm going to do like black mustard like that on these pages. But you can do them in any order you want. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come on the back side here, and I'm going to place glue all over the back side of this little pocket unit that we made. And then I'm just going to, you know, kind of sort of center it. I'm just eyeballing it. It might be off by a little bit, but that's okay. Get it on here. If you want to, you can hold a ruler up next to it. I'm not really feeling like I need to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this on here, press it down all around. Clean up any glue that might seep out. I know, you guys, I sound like a broken record. You guys know the drill. And all these places here where I've gotten little bits of glue smudge, once they dry, I can come over them with my little eraser, and you see how that just comes right off. It'll just take that sort of shine right off of that paper, and you won't see that anymore. But I want to wait till it's completely dry before I do that. So there's one. Let's go to the next one here. And we'll do this one. And I'm just sort of centering it here on the page. I don't know. It's it's center-ish. That's what we're going to say. It's kind of center-ish, right? There we go. Burnish it down really well. Let's go to the next one and the last one. Glue on the back and stick it down too. And there we go. Now we've got these cute little pockets on the front of each of our like little divider pages. They're not really divider pages. I don't know what to call them, but they're maybe title pages. I'm not sure. But I've put pockets on them. So that's fun, right? And now I'm thinking that what I need to do is I need to have some sort of tags that are going to actually hold this pocket closed, hold the lid closed. And this kit comes with the cutest little bookmarks here. And so let's start cutting these apart real quick. All right, so now I have trimmed apart all of these bookmarks from that cut apart sheet. And we have a lot of them. There's like a whole bunch of them here. Okay, so I think I'm actually gonna do this as a double pocket on here. So we have our pocket that we made, you know, to slip in, and it's gonna be great. It doesn't have anything to snag on. Our pieces are gonna just like slide right in, whatever we wanna put in that pocket, right? That's awesome. But now I'm thinking I need something to help these sort of stay closed. And I think what I want to do is I want to put a smaller pocket on the front of here that then sits in to sort of help it to stay closed. So from my scrap cardstock here, I'm going to cut 4 pieces that are 4 inches by 2 inches. And let's use the same punch here to punch on the 4-inch side. We want to punch this right in the center. So I'm going to come over to the 2-inch mark and make my punch. So I've got a little notch like that. And I think it might look nice if I rounded these lower corners. So I'm going to go through and use the same corner rounder, and I'm going to round the bottom 2 corners on each of the 4-inch by 2-inch pieces. So it's the corners on the opposite side from where I did my little notch. And now I'm just going to glue them down here. I'm going to just sort of center it, eyeball center it, and I'm going to glue it down on 3 sides. So each of my sides here, and I'm coming in about 1/4 of an inch with the glue. I mean, it's a good amount of glue here because this is just a simple pocket that we're just gluing down on 3 sides, just like that. And then let's just find a little home for him. And that looks about centered-ish. There we go. Go ahead and burnish that down. Didn't mean to scooch it over that far. Again, we can sort of clean up this glue once it has dried a little bit more. I don't want to mess with it too much right now because I don't want it to tear the paper. But there we go. Now let's go to the next one. Glue it down on 3 sides. And now that we have all of our little pockets glued on, and all of our little tuck spot pockets glued on, now when we stick our tags in, they're gonna hold that down. Now I feel like even though these have really pretty little places on the backs of them, I just wanna back them with some cardstock. So I'm gonna go ahead and reach over here to my scraps, and I'm gonna find some scrap pieces of cardstock that I can fit behind these so that I've got a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more weight to them, I guess. So let me start pulling from my scrap. And some of these, like these really tall ones, if I want to use them, I might want to just use them over here in my side pockets. But if I did want to use these taller ones here, they're going to stick up pretty far. And I think that that's another reason to try to put something a little bit more substantial on the backing here. So I'm going to use my scraps here of this cardstock, but you know, you're welcome to use anything that you've got in your stash too. I just think that this is going to look really nice. So all of these bookmarks are 2 3/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to cut my backing pieces to 2.5 inches wide by whatever the length is. So I'm going to add like another 1/8 of an inch on the length of them as well. So I'm going to go through and cut backing pieces for all of them. So once I have the backing the size that I want it to be, you know, my heavier weight cardstock here, the size I want it to be, and I'm kind of thinking I should have inked the edges, but that's okay. I'm going to stick with it. You guys can ink your edges if you want to. I do think that this would be nice if I rounded the corners. So I'm going to go through here and round all 4 corners of my bookmark and of the backing cardstock for the bookmark. And then I'm just going to glue it right down on top of there. Just mat them up together. Go ahead and stick that down and give it a nice burnishing. You can punch a hole in the spot where they've got for a hole to punch. Go ahead and punch a hole. And then I've got an 8-inch long piece of my ribbon that I have folded in half, and I'm feeding through my hole from the front side. So I'm putting it through from the front side, and I have a loop here now that you can see here that's on the back side. See? And I'm going to bring my tails that are on the front up through that loop that's now on the back side, and just sort of work that, just tighten it back up there, work that ribbon through in such a way that I can create this little loop up here that's going to catch it. And now I've got some ribbon at the top. I'm going to go ahead and clip my ends at an angle, and then I'm going to use a lighter to singe them. But if you're not comfortable using a lighter, just take a little bit of the art glitter glue and dab it on the ends and let that dry, and you won't have any fraying. I am not patient enough to let that art glitter glue dry, so I just go for the lighter and I just singe those ends, and then they won't fray on me. And so now I've got this really cute little bookmark with this really cute little ribbon sticking up. I love that. I think that looks great. And I think I can use these smaller bookmarks here to keep my my flaps closed on my pockets. So I'm going to go through and find 4 of them that are similar in size. And I'm going to go with these 4 here. I think they're going to be really cute. And so now I'm going to cut some backing pieces for them. All right, so I've backed 3 of these here, and just did the same thing on this one. I rounded all the corners and backed it and punched a little hole. On these, right here, I rounded the bottom 2 corners of both the matting and the cut apart, and then punched the hole. And then I'm going to use, because I'm running a little bit low on the ribbon, this is all the ribbon I've got left here, and because I want to use some of this for another one of my larger tags, I'm holding off on that. So I'm going to use this twine to put through at the tops here. And I've cut 4 4-inch lengths of twine. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the ribbon. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to take the loop from the front of my bookmark here, of my tag. I'm going to bring it through, and then I'm going to run these little tails up through that loop that is now on the back side, and just pull it tight, just like that. And I kind of want to fray them out because I think that they're going to look really cool. Just a little bit more, I don't know, like a tassel almost. So I'm just untwisting them and pulling the fibers, the little threads apart. You can also take a small comb and actually brush them, and that'll make them nice and fuzzy. I think that it's enough for me to just sort of pull those fibers apart like that. I like the way that looks. And then to ensure that it's not going to come undone, I'm going to slide it just a little bit to the side. I'm going to put a dollop of glue right underneath where it's going to end up kind of going over, and really just kind of letting that bit of the twine sort of get embedded in the glue. And that's enough to keep it so that it's not going to come undone. I think it looks really cute. Let me just show you how I layered these up. So I took my little cut apart here. I went ahead and rounded the bottom 2 corners. I rounded the bottom 2 corners of the matting piece as well. Put glue all over the back side of your cut apart. Lay it down on top of your matting and just center it, left, right, top, bottom. Just get that sitting right in there. Burnish it. And then for these little corner pieces here, I just took my scissors and I'm sort of trying to match the angle by just snipping about 1/8 of an inch away, just kind of in the same way as that. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but it's totally fine. I think it looks great. And then we're going to punch our hole and do the same thing we did with this one and put our twine through our little loop. And we have a nice little tassel at the top of our bookmark / tag / whatever you want to use these for. Just don't forget to put that little dollop of glue behind there. That's just going to make sure that it's not going to come undone on you. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the rest of them, and I'll be right back. All right, now we've got all of our tags completed, and they are just going to have a nice little home here in this tuck spot, and that's going to serve to keep the flaps closed on our little pockets that we added here on our pages. I think they look fabulous. I really do. This one in the back here, write your own story. Love it. Those are so stinking cute. All right, so now while I've still got the, bookmarks out here, let's go ahead and finish the rest of these up too. I have these 3 little ones here. I've got this one that says Life is a Ride, and then I've got kind of a medium-sized one here with the bookshelf, and then these 2 are the same size. This one says Next Chapter, and what I would like to do is I'd like to make one very similar to this one here on the front that I put in that has the ribbon sticking out of it, and I would like for that to go into the back because I think it's going to look really nice having that ribbon kind of peeking out of the top there. But I don't have enough cardstock left of my solid colored cardstock, or this cardstock here to back this with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue these 2 both together. They're the same size. I'm going to put glue on one of them, glue them both together. If I need to, where I've got this little overhang here, once they're glued together, I'll trim them up. And this is going to serve as my bookmark. I could do, kind of debating, do I want to do this grid on the back? I think I just want to do the flowers. I like the flowers. So I'm going to put glue all over the back side of one of them, and then we're just going to stick it down to the back side of the other one. And now I've doubled it up. I've made it a little bit more firm, right? It's not quite as, not that it was flimsy, but you know, it's not going to wiggle, right? You don't really want your bookmarks to be wiggling. You want them to be nice and just firm, right? Clean up any glue that might be seeping out. And then I am going to just trim the length to match. It looks like I was off by just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to trim the length. And then just to be safe, I'm going to come over. I'm just going to trim a tiny little bit off of either side. Just because I got two papers, you know, up next to each other. I want them to be, identical in their size here. There we go. We now have it trimmed down. It's nice and sturdy. We've got two papers thick. I like it. I am going to come around here and round all four of the corners, punch my hole. And for this one, I want to do this ribbon again. So I'm going to cut another length that's 8 inches long, fold it in half. And once you fold it in half, if you sort of then kind of fold it in quarters like that, then you have a little pokey end. I have found that it goes through that hole a lot easier if you do that. So now I'm just going to feed that, that folded end through from the front side. And then that loop, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to place my tails in through that loop and kind of pull on the tails until I can tighten up the loop a little bit. And just work it until you get it just the way you like it with your tails sticking out up here. Tighten it just a little bit more. And there we go. And now I'm just going to trim my ends and seal them with fray check or a lighter. And now we've got another really cool bookmark. I love that it says next chapter. I think that's pretty neat. And so I'm just going to stick this bookmark on the very back of my album here. How great is that? I love it. I love that they're sticking up there. I think they look really cute. All right, now it's time for us to go ahead and finish up these other bookmarks here real quick. I'm just going to take my scraps and start backing them. Okay, so I've got all of my, I was able to back all of my tags with some cardstock, but it down to the scraps. And for this one, I don't have a piece that's big enough to do it. So I'm gonna piece them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to place it together like this. Take a piece of repositionable tape from the front side just to hold it together. Flip it around to the back side. Run a length of double-sided tape, not quite end to end. Stop a little bit short of the ends there. Go ahead and burnish that down really well. And now I'm going to treat this as if it were a complete, you know, like a full piece of paper here. And I'm going to trim it down to the right length so that I can use it to back my, my bookmark with. Come over to the 2.5 inch mark and make my width cut. And now I'll be able to glue that down. I want to go ahead and round these corners to match the ones I already rounded. And I'm keeping this little piece of repositionable tape on here until I've got it completely done, just because it gives it a little bit of structure. It's not bending around on me. Go ahead and expose that double-sided adhesive by pulling off that backing. Place glue all over the backside of your bookmark. And then we're just going to center it on here, laying it down, glue into place, just kind of squeezing it all around underneath between those two layers of paper. There we go. And now I can pull off this tape here. And I think that looks really great. And just to cover my seam there, I'm going to get another piece of this cardstock. Let me find one that's a little longer. There we go. I got a pink one here. I'm going to cut it to the same length, or actually I'm going to cut it a little bit longer to start off with. So let's just go ahead and cut it a little bit longer than it needs to be. And I'm just going to do like a 1/2 inch wide. Place glue all over the back side of this little strip here. And its only purpose is to cover that seam. That's it. And I think it'll look pretty. So that's what we're doing. Now I'm just going to place it right over the seam here. There we go. That's not bad. Go ahead and burnish it down. I'll clean up that glue here in a little bit. It doesn't look great, I know. And then let's just trim off the little bits that are hanging over at the top and the bottom. That's why I went ahead and cut it longer. That way I know it'll fit perfectly once we trim it to fit. And then this little smudge of glue here, I'm just going to come over it with my eraser, a little rubber eraser, and just sort of work that up. There we go. punch our hole, and I'm going to use this last little bit of ribbon that I have here. It's just a little more than 7 inches long, and I'm going to feed it through this one in the same way that I did with the other ones just a little bit ago. And there we go. We now have a bookmark completed. I think it looks super cute. And for these remaining 4, I'm just going to use the twine that I have left, and I'm actually just going to, fold it into fourths so I can cut even amounts. I don't know how long they need to be, but I know that these are the last of the twine that I need. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to fold them in half through in the same way I have with all of them, and I'll be right back. All right, now we have finished all of our bookmarks. We have used every single bookmark that was on that page. You guys, like every single one. And I think I can just come in here and put a second one in each of these little cover pieces here. There's plenty of room to sort of stick those in there. Let me see. On this one. And then one more back here. Super cute. Yep, this is awesome. I love it. And then for this bookmark here, I'm thinking it should probably go towards the front. We'll figure something else out. In fact, I might actually end up doing a tuck spot down here. I don't know, somewhere. So that is it for all of the bookmarks. So now let's go ahead and decorate our divider pages here. So let's go ahead and pull all 3 of our chipboard dividers out of our binder. And that way we'll have a little bit easier time of sort of working with them, right? You're gonna need pieces of your 6x8 cardstock. And that is going to be what we're going to use to cover our chipboard dividers with. So I'm just going to go ahead and take them all off of the adhesive here at the top. And again, you can peel this adhesive off, or we can just take it to the trimmer and trim off a little tiny bit. Depending on how easily they come off, I may just go ahead and trim them off. And you should have 8 pieces left. You're going to need 7 of them. So like on this one here that says My Story, I kind of want that to be one of my pieces here on the front. I'm not sure though. I definitely want this to be one of them. I think this is just darling. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the 3 pages that I want to have for my kind of cover portion. So I'm thinking these 3 here, because they're the 3 that we have left that are kind of full size pages, right? And so those are going to go on the fronts here. And then I need some paper to kind of coordinate on the back. I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to do the little cafe scene, the smaller scales cafe scene on the back side of this one. I want to do this print on the back side of the one with the books. And I'll do these daisies here on the back side of this one here that says My Story. And then this one here with the all over flowers. That's what I'm going to use to cut into strips to sort of make up the difference on the width. And let me show you what I mean by that. So these pages here are 6 inches by 8 inches. But if I'm going to kind of lay this on here to cover this whole area, I've got a little extra here that's hanging over. So I just want to cut like a 1-inch wide strip so that I can make up for that difference and maybe even cover some of this little portion here. I don't know, but let's see how this works out. So the first thing I want to do is I've decided which ones I want for my front and back of all 3 of my chipboard dividers here. And so that's these right here. These are the ones I want for those. So I'm going to set these all aside. And then this one here is the one that I think that I want to use to sort of make up the difference on the width of those pages. So it is 6 inches wide. I have 6 sides to make up the width for. I'm going to trim a tiny bit off the top just to get rid of all of that adhesive. And I'm going to cut these into 8 by 1-inch strips. And the easiest way to do that is to start backing it down. So I'm in here at the 6 inches at the top. I'm going to back it down to 5 and give it a cut. Then I'm going to back it down to 4 and give it a cut. Back it down to 3, give it a cut. Back it down to 2, give it a cut. And then back it down to 1. And now I have 6 pieces. They're all 1 inch wide by 8 inches long. So this is kind of the look that I'm going for here. So I think the first thing I need to do is I need to attach this 1-inch strip on the right hand side of my, the large print pieces of paper. So this one, and this one. I want to attach this 1-inch strip on the right hand side. On the other pages, I want to attach the 1-inch strip on the left hand side, because when it's open, that's how it's going to be. Does that make sense? I don't know. Let me show you. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get all 3 of my pages that have the large patterns on it that I want to, be kind of my covers here for my dividers. And I want to attach this 1-inch strip on the right-hand side of all of them. So I'm just going to come along here. I'm doing the same thing I just did with that other one where I did the paper piecing. I'm butting it up right next to the edge. I'm going to take a piece of repositionable tape over that seam, just hold it in place, flip it over, and then on the back side, we're just going to take our double-sided tape and run it right down the length of that seam, attaching them together. And just for a little bit of continuity and to make sure I don't have any more adhesive up here at the top, once they're together, I will give it a fresh cut at the top and a fresh cut at the bottom, just cutting the tiniest little sliver off of it so that I have some uniformity in the height kind of going all the way across here. Okay, and so now I want to kind of lay it out here on my piece of chipboard, trying to give it an even reveal all the way around. And what I mean by that is the top, the side, and the bottom. I've got about, 1/8 of an inch or so, kind of showing all around, 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch. I think that looks really good. And so I'm going to just tape it down onto here with that repositionable tape, because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to come around this little design here with my pencil so that I know I can cut out this paper to match. So I'm going to follow it all the way down and all the way around this little scallop here. Okay. And once I've got that traced, I'm going to cut to the inside of that line that I just drew. That line is on the very edge of my chipboard divider. I want this matting piece to lie a little bit towards the inside of it. So I'm going to come along and just cut just to the inside of that line, follow the curves on my little decorative edge here. Just like that, just like that, okay? And now let's see if it worked, because I don't even know. All right, so I've got my cover here. If I lay it out just like that, yeah, I think that actually did work. I think I'm a little bit crooked here on this little upper piece. It looks like I came out at an angle, so I want to sort of trim that back. There we go. And lay it on top of here. And yeah, that actually looks pretty good. So I've got my little scalloped area over here that's sort of matching. Is it perfect? No, but I think it looks really cute. I really do. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and peel off the backing on my repositionable tape and put glue all over the back side of this joined piece of paper here. And now we're just going to lay it down here. It is coming over the holes. I'm aware of that. We're going to cut them out here in just a minute. Press it all into place. Looks good. Give it a nice little burnishing. Peel off that repositionable tape from the front side now. Yeah, I like it. I think it's cute. There we go. And now on these holes here, if you have a bigger hole punch, use a bigger hole punch. I don't. I've got this teeny tiny little hole punch here. So let me see if I can find a bigger one. There we go. And then I was able to see where the holes were from the back side and go ahead and punch those out. Now I've got this one done. Let's go ahead and do the other two front pieces in the same way. So again, because of this front piece, because I want the strip to be on the right-hand side of it, I need to go ahead and attach my strips here on the right-hand side of my full size piece here. All right, now that we've got all of our covers on the front sides with our big pretty pictures here all covered, it's time for us to do the same exact thing on the back sides, except this time we need to attach the 1-inch strip on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. And that way it will line up over here with that tab side the way it did on the front side. I hope that makes sense. All right, now we have our dividers covered, and I honestly think they came out really great. These little scallops that, I traced around and cut out, they're not perfect, but they're close enough, and I really like the way they look. I think that they, I just like them. I like them a lot. So let's go ahead and put them back in our album. These are just so stinking cute. I think it's coming together really well. I like this a lot. I love how these little dividers turned out with our pattern paper on them. I think they look as cute as can be. Awesome. All right, so now let's move on to the remaining two pieces of cardstock that we've got here. And then we also have this little piece here that has some cut aparts and some photo or some camera print on the back side. So let's set this aside for now. And on these two here, I know that I want to cut one of them completely apart in the 3x4 cut aparts. The other one, I'm thinking I want to use the daisy print side on something. I'm just not for sure yet on how I want to do that. Let's go ahead and cut apart all of our 3x4 cut aparts, and I'll be right back. So now I've cut apart all of my little 3x4 cut aparts. I have placed them in random just little spots all throughout here in all of these little pockets, and there's plenty of room to put photos in here, journaling cards, whatever you want. These are just kind of in here as a placeholder or a place to put a photo maybe on the back side of it, journal on them, however you want to handle it. I haven't put anything in these larger ones yet, and so now I think we're ready to start moving on to some decorating. So this kit is all about the decorating. It's all about the ephemera and the stickers and the chipboard, and oh my goodness, look at all these goodies. You guys are free to decorate it any way you want. I'm just going to kind of put together some things that I like, and we'll just sort of go from there. I think I want to put this little bookstore on the spine because it's just super cute. And then I'm just going to put a flower up here. So let's go ahead and glue these down. There we go. I like that. I think that the spine looks really cute like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. We also have these enamel dots here, and so I do want to kind of put some around here, but I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put them yet. I really want to put this butterfly on the front. I just think it's so pretty. I am putting a little bit of glue on the back. They do have adhesive backing on them, but I don't necessarily trust the adhesive backing. I don't have any reason not to trust it. I just don't. I have no basis for my fear here. Oh my goodness, that looks so cute. And then let's take a few of these enamel dots and we'll put them over here too, just to give it a little bit of accent. I'm thinking like maybe 3 or 4 down this little side over here. And when I'm putting down enamel dots, I like to just take a pokey tool and sort of slip underneath them and let the adhesive stick to the back of the pokey tool like that. And then I'll find the little spots that I want to put them in. So I'm thinking like here, here. I'm trying to line them up straight. I don't know how straight I'm getting. It's straight-ish, right? And let's do one more. Maybe let's do this darker green. There we go. I think that looks really cute. And I sort of feel like there should be maybe another butterfly. We do have a smaller one over here. Let me find it. Yeah, let's do another smaller butterfly up here. So again, more adhesive on the backing, and we'll go ahead and just stick this one down. Maybe like here. So cute. And I feel like I need something down here, maybe some flowers. Ooh, or maybe like a house plant. They have some little house plant. Oh, that's a little too big. Yeah, I think I want to go ahead and put these little flowers down here on this lower corner. So let's line them up. These foam stickers are really fun. I haven't used them a lot before, and I think I'm gonna start using them more often. This is really kind of fun. I like the dimension that they give. I like the, yeah, I like that. That looks cute. Okay, so we've got our front cover taken care of. You can put more stuff on here if you want. I'm kind of a less is more person, so I probably won't. I don't know, I thought about maybe putting this vase over here. No, I won't. Less is more. And then on the back over here, I really don't want to put anything. I like this bookshelf scene here. I think it looks great. Plus, it's the back. It's always sitting down and kind of getting rubbed on. And so I just don't want to put anything extra on there right now. Now let's go ahead and open up to the inside. And I definitely want to go ahead and sort of try to erase some of these glue spots that are on here. And some of them, they're not really coming off. So I'm thinking it might be a good place to put some ephemera. When in doubt, stick ephemera on it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm kind of thinking this little cafe scene is nice and it should fit on here pretty nicely. So let's just go ahead and glue that one down. There we go. Nice little cafe scene here. I do want to burnish it down really well because when I'm putting things in and out of the pockets, I don't want it to snag on this. There we go. And then I've got a little butterfly here. Let's just do that one. I like that. So you can place yours wherever you want. I'm honestly placing these here because I had some little glue stains and I want to cover them up. So you may have glue stains in different places and you might want to put your ephemera in different places. That's okay. Oh, that looks so cute. And I think I want to put my coffee cup up here just because it's really cute and I live on coffee. And I do really like this little vase down here, so we'll stick it down. Just give a little decoration to our inside of our spine here. Go ahead and stick down our vase, stick down our coffee cup. Looks so cute. I love this so much. I can't even get over it. Oh, I kind of like that right on there. Okay, so let's put some glue on the back of this one. Yeah, that's cute. Shine. So cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, and then on the back side of each of these little sort of divider pages, we haven't put anything on them yet. So I'm thinking that we can either cut apart some more of these cut aparts here and stick them on, or I think I would rather just come on with the ephemera. It's so fun. All right, I'm gonna cut up from this other sheet of cut aparts. I'm gonna cut 2 pieces that are 6 inches by 4 inches. And then I'm gonna cut them from angle to angle, just right across. So I'm gonna end up with 2 triangle pieces just like this. Okay, so we started with 2 pieces that were 4 by 6, okay? And then I cut one of them at an angle from the upper left to the lower right, and I cut the other one at an angle from the lower left to the upper right, okay? And then what that's gonna give us is it's gonna give us 2 pieces that when we lay them on top of each other like this, we can have kind of like a crisscross pocket here. And these pockets aren't gonna have, you know, sides on them. They're just gonna be like tuck spot pockets. And so then the other ones are gonna line up in this just opposite way, going like this. Okay, so what the first thing I want to do is I want to glue them together, and I'm simply going to lay them down so that the bottom edges meet up. So I'm going to take on one of these pieces, I'm just going to run a bead of glue all along the bottom edge here. That's the 6-inch long edge. Okay, and then we're going to stick that right on top of the piece below it along that 6-inch long edge as well. Okay. Kind of clean up our glue that's coming out in that tiny little spot. Give it a little burnishing. That looks good. And now on the back side, we're gonna glue down 3 sides. So we're gonna come up this 4-inch side, across the whole 6-inch bottom, that's the same 6-inch bottom that we glued the other piece onto, and then all the way up this other 4-inch side, just like that. And now I'm going to just sort of place it in this kind of lower left-hand corner with about 1/8 of an inch reveal all the way around. Press it down. There we go. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Okay, so I've got enough here to do another set. Let's go ahead and do these on the back of all these pocket pieces. I think this is going to look super cute. So from your remaining piece of that 12 by 12 cardstock that had the cut aparts on it, you're going to cut them into 4 by 6 pieces like this. And then you're going to cut them at an angle. On one of them, you're going to cut at an angle from the upper left to the lower right. And that way, when you put them together, we've got this sort of crisscross of our little triangles here to create our pockets. So I'm going to go through and we're going to do the same thing I just done on the other one. I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of the 6-inch section, stack it on top of the one that's kind of got the opposite triangle cut on top of that 6-inch section there. Give it a little pressing. Do the same thing with the next one and the last one. Just like that. Let's see, let's go ahead and put a little bit of ephemera on here just to decorate it some. There we go. All right, so we've got our pocket on this one. I went ahead and stuck a little piece of ephemera on here because it's cute, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and put that one back in our album. And then let's go to the next one over here. And I've grabbed all of my other cover pages here, and I'm just gonna flip them over to the back side, make sure I know where the top is, make sure I've got them all facing the right way. And then these little units that I glued together, let's go ahead and glue them down on 3 sides. So I'm gonna come up the 4-inch side, across the bottom on the 6-inch side, and up on the other 4-inch side, before then just laying it down here kind of towards that lower left-hand corner and pressing it all into place, burnishing it really well and cleaning up any glue that might seep out. And then we're gonna repeat with the remaining 2 here. And then go ahead and stick some ephemera around on it because, you know, why not? We've got it. So I'm just decorating each of them however I feel like it kind of needs to be decorated.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
And I want to cover up that place where I seamed that, but this is still sticky back here. So I'm going to take a piece of one of my scrap pieces of cardstock here, and I'm actually just going to glue this bird down on the cardstock, and then I'll only glue the part down that I need to glue down. That way I don't have to worry about the sticky part. So let's just stick him down here. And now I can just glue him down where I want him, which is like that, like he's singing It's a Happy Day. So I don't want to put glue past this portion here where his tail is. Kind of squish him down on here. I'm just making sure I don't have anything. I don't want any glue seeping out there to kind of close up my pocket. So I'm going to stick this behind here for a second. See, I caught a little glue there. Squeeze it again. There we go. Happy day, happy day. I think over here I'm going to do this little house plant, and then we'll do the See the Good over here as well. So let's glue the house plant down first, about like that. And then See the Good. Oh, I love it. It's so positive. There we go. And now everything that we have remaining, I'm just going to sort of put into these little pockets to have for, you know, other embellishments as we need them. So right now, I think what I want to do is I want to gather up all of the ephemera bits and pieces. And then I'm just going to stick these ephemera bits and pieces in one of these little pockets. Let's see. Not that one. Let's just do them right in here. That's a good spot for it. Okay. And then that way, when I'm adding photos and I'm adding things to it, this is where I'm going to go to get my little bits of ephemera that I need to kind of decorate everything out some more. And let's do the same thing with these leftover enamel dots. I'm just going to stick them in one of these little these little pockets over here. And then for these foam stickers, since we have so many of them left, let's, so the sheet that the puffy stickers came on, I just cut that down to 8 inches tall. And now I'm going to consolidate all the ones that I have remaining, and I'm going to put them all on this one backing piece here. And that way I have all of these, you know, these stickers here that I can then slip into one of these full sheets. And those I can also pull from when I'm ready to start decorating some other things. I've also got all of these cut aparts here that still have this as the background paper. I'm going to put them together and stick them in one of these full-size sleeves, just so that I have that for extra paper when I need it, or I can use it as just matting, you know, to put photos on as well. And I haven't even opened the chipboard, you guys. I haven't even opened these up. Let me see if there might be some way that I can store these in here as well. And then I just took some plastic that was basically from the packaging for the chipboard stickers, and I cut them down into pieces that are 5 3/4 wide by 8 inches tall. And I'm going to take the remaining chipboard stickers that I've got, and I'm just going to put them all over this plastic backing. That way I can still use them when I need them, because they'll peel right off of this plastic. See, they're going to come right off. They're not going to stay on there forever. And they'll stay put long enough for me to store them in here, and then I can use them when I'm ready for it. I'm just going through and pulling off some of these little chipboard stickers from my sheet, sticking them all on this plastic piece. Oh, look at the croissant. They're so cute. So I've got those on this one, and now I've got all my stickers on this one, and these can go back to back, and we can slip them in another one of these full-size ones, just like this. And now we've got all of our chipboard stickers ready to use for our ephemera as well. And I am so excited with this, you guys. I think it's turned out really cute. And these are the only scraps I have left. I can't believe I was able to use every last bit of it. And I'm super happy. I'm actually just going to toss those because I don't think that's enough to keep. But I'm super happy that I was able to do this with all of the materials that I had. I don't feel like I wasted any. I love how chunky it is. Lots of good stuff in here. I'm really happy that I went ahead and pulled off that that little label on the cover, because it made it so I could do some fun stuff here on the spine. And I love my cover. I love the back. Alrighty folks, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial as a part of the Country Craft Creations Spring Fling Virtual Retreat. I know I told you all at the beginning how excited I was. This is sort of a full circle thing for me. Being a part of this community is an enormous blessing for me, and I am truly grateful to get to know each and every one of you. I have learned volumes from the other designers, from all of you participants, and just, I've had the best fellowship I could have ever even wished for. So thank you all so much for spending this time with me. I'm so grateful that I got to show you this little project. It's really fun. I've never used one of these pre-made albums before, and after going through this here with you guys today, I'm definitely going to be ordering more of them. I think they're just so versatile. I love that I can take pages in and out and move them around. And yeah, I just think it turned out super cute. All right, y'all, that's what I've got for you guys today. I can't wait to see your projects. I love seeing all of your pictures posting in the Spring Fling Virtual Retreat page. Say that 10 times. And I would welcome any comments, questions, suggestions you guys have. I have learned so much from and with each and every one of you, and I'm so truly grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. I hope you're being kind to yourselves, and I hope you're finding so much joy in this journey. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if from falling down. I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.